Happy Thursday, everybody. How are you all doing? Hope everyone's doing well. And tonight I wanted to discuss readings, and I also wanted to discuss how the reading process happens and how we communicate from the other side. So there's a couple of questions I want to get out of the way. A lot of people ask me on YouTube or they ask me on Facebook, so this is what I wanted to do. First and foremost, there's the phone reading, so can't answer that. So first and foremost, for all the people that have ordered and or are ordering gift certificates for the holidays, please give me advance. This is what they look like. I just want to let you know what you'll be expecting in the mail. And then as you receive it, it goes in here, who you're going to, so on and so forth. Comes in this, and then we're done. So that's my gift certificates. It comes in a half hour, and it comes in an hour session. If you want to give that to anybody for a gift, you can buy it right on the website. Also, people have asked me, Phil, will I be doing the Friday nights with Phil again starting in April? And people are asking me, can they buy out the group of 8, so as Christmas gifts? So if you want to do that, I'm going to be starting in April. You can send an email to philquinn.com, or Greg and I will get back to you. And if you want to buy out the group or part of the group, but I'm going to be starting them on Friday nights. So those dates will be up. I think Greg's back on Sunday. He's getting some sort of certification for yoga, his last certification, and he's sorely missed. So that's what I wanted to get out of the way. And then now I want to talk about how this reading process happens before I get into everybody's questions. By the way, I hope everyone's having a nice holiday and getting ready for the holidays. We were just listening to The Sound of Music, which Jasper hasn't seen before.
I have not.
So we're going to have to introduce him to that. But what I want to know is, what people are asking me on YouTube and stuff, and I know I have a lot of you guys that tune in here, a lot of people on YouTube saying, Phil, can I do a phone reading with you? Can I do a Skype reading with you, FaceTime or whatever it is? Absolutely. But how does that work? Why don't I need to be in your office in order for that to work? So what happens is, in this process, your family members know that you're having the reading. I've mentioned this before. And what they do is they find out who Phil Quinn is, and boom. So they know your appointment's at 9 o'clock, and they're standing in my office with me. So anytime I'm doing a reading or FaceTime, I'm always in my office. People ask me all the time if I'm home, but this is my office that I'm working from, which is here in Guildford. So they stand here next to me, and therefore I have complete communication. If they were on the other end, meaning that standing where you are, it would be harder for me to hear them. So they project themselves as if they're standing in the room, and that way I have complete communication with them, and I don't have to do any interpretation. So that's that. And secondly, what was my other question, Jasper? It'll come to me in a second. I know I had it on the list. The other thing I want to talk about as far as phone readings are going to, when I'm coming into the new year, I'm going to open up Tuesdays and Thursday nights for people that need evening appointments, and for people who are at the other part of the world. I do a lot of readings for people who are in the Middle East and people who are just all over the place. One question was asked of me before I get into these questions, as Jasper's going through them now, was, what do they do on the other side, Phil, why they're waiting around us and they're watching over us and they're looking? And as I was doing a reading today, I asked the lady who had passed over, I said, what are you doing over there? And she says, Phil, I teach people. She was a fabulous chef. She says, I teach people how to cook, and I teach people how to paint. Souls. So she's Indian. She says, so I teach other souls who are not from India, and I teach them how to cook, and I teach them how to paint. And I said, why? And they said, when that soul gets ready to come back to Earth, they will then have this experience, even though they've never known how to do it. So what happens is it gets them into the feel of cooking or painting or whatever like that. So it was a really interesting part with that. I need to have a reading with you, Phil. Yes, anybody needs to have a reading, go to philquinn.com, please. And it's just the easiest way to go. So I want to answer some of your questions and some of the things that are going on. But what I wanted to explain to you all is that when you're having a phone reading with me, there's no problem with communication coming from the other side. The other thing is, and I want to make this very clear, if there's weather, before I get into these questions, if there's a weather issue, if you have a crisis, if you have some family, your appointment is not lost. we will move you. Greg and I will get you a new spot. Nobody's going to hold your money or anything like that. I want to make that very, very clear. So somebody asked me the other day, Phil, if I can't come, will you, do I lose my deposit or anything like that? Absolutely not. So all of that is returned. If you can't make it, everything is returned. So Jasper, go ahead.
Can I buy a gift certificate for a seat for one of your groups in April? How much is it?
So can I buy a gift certificate for one of the seats that I have in April? So my seats in April that are starting in April, it's a Friday night we're filled. It's from 7 to 9. And we do it through the spring. And so my seat is $75 per person. It's discounted for people that are nervous, for people that are fearful, and most importantly, you're part of a group. Here's the thing, the reason why I do Friday nights with Phil. It's 8 people. Now, we started out at 10 and I didn't like the number, so I reduced it to 8. And at 8 people, everybody can comfortably get a reading. So it's 2 hours, we can all talk, and it's amazing what happens. I have tomorrow night is my last group for the rest of the year, and then we'll start them up again. But what happens is, all of these people are strangers, but yet it's amazing how the other side works. It brings everybody together in a way that you can each relate to each other. You had the same traumas, even though you didn't know anybody. So these particular groups are really important to me. I'm not, and anybody that knows that I've done a lot of fundraisers over the years, I don't like large crowds for a variety of reasons, but the most important reason is because I want to read as many people as I can, and I want to give them closure. A lot of people write in my thread, Phil, your expense and blah, blah, blah. Listen, my cost is my cost. I've never changed it over. I don't even need to get into this here, but that's why I do Friday nights for Phil, for people that are unsure about who is this guy. And most importantly, I stand by my work. I record my sessions. I don't know any of you who've had readings out there, but they do not record them. So I'm one of the few people that actually records your sessions or allows them to record them. So, and I do that because, again, I stand by my work and I stand by what the other side has to say. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to repeat what the other side wants you to hear. So it's very important everybody knows that when they're getting a reading. That doesn't mean the other side's going to yell at you. It doesn't mean that they're going to speak down to you. It doesn't mean that they're going to tell you blank. All it simply means is that they're going to try and put you on your path as best they possibly can. Go ahead, babe.
So how do I schedule one of those online, your Friday nights with Phil?
So how do I schedule one of the Friday nights with Phil online? When I put up the groups, when Greg comes back, I'll put up the new groups dates in 2019. You can go right on the website and you can book as many people as you want. So typically people come in 3s, or I now have people buying out the entire group. So once I upload the dates, I will announce it on my Facebook. And if you want to have your seat, grab it, because it will not be available. I mean, they all sell out very, very quick. I have a consent for
How about when you're trying to schedule online for gift certificates specifically?
So again, thank you, Jasper, for bringing this up. This gift certificate thing has been an issue for people who are trying to get everything ready for the holidays. So when you go to purchase a gift certificate, there's a banner right on philquinn.com. You click on that, and from clicking on that, it brings you right to the gift certificate. I'm reading here about how I used to have audio tapes. So listen, for anybody that doesn't know this, I've been doing this a long time. I started out with audio tapes. Now it's all totally digital, and it's quite amazing. So I used to hand people an audio tape after each of my readings, and I would go to Staples and buy these huge stacks of audio tapes, and I would give them to people afterwards so you don't have to take notes. That's my main reason for recording my session. I say names to you, you have no idea who I'm talking about, because you go into psychic amnesia, it's called. That's at least what I call it. That psychic amnesia makes you only think of the people that you're looking for. But what happens is there's other people going to go through, come into the room. If you've talked about, hey, listen, Mary, I'm going to see Phil, and she says, oh my God, I wish my dad would come through. Her father didn't come through that night because you two were talking about it. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that we broaden our scope of the souls that will come in. And that's why Friday nights are so exciting, because I never know who's going to come in. You have a group of 8 people, you don't know what's going to happen, but it's always really interesting. People have sent me several emails about tomorrow's group is completely sold out. Again, I don't want to pack the group. I want to be able to read everyone and everyone be comfortable. Go ahead, Jasper. Hello from New Zealand.
So someone actually asked questions about the recordings, how you send them. Debbie asks, do you record over the phone readings and mail them the tape in person?
Thank you. So here's what happens, guys. There's this incredible thing called Dropbox. Is that what it's called, Jasper?
Dropbox.
So it is audio. I click it on my phone when you're doing your phone reading with me. We do it Skype or via phone or whatever you want. It records it, and I send it to your email. And then when you need to listen to it, you click it, and it plays through your phone. So it's quite remarkable. And then, and therefore you have it. So everything is recorded. I do not do readings and not record them. I just don't. So, because often, most times, people can't write fast enough. I talk very fast. You may have noticed that. And it's because they can't write fast enough, so they often miss that. So where's my reading in my Dropbox? I don't know. We'll find it. So go ahead, Jasper.
Shannon asks, when you do your Thursday Facebook Live, do our loved ones bombard you knowing that we're watching you?
So here's how this works, and thank you for bringing this up. When we do Facebook Live, I try to tune out the other side, and there's a reason for this. I haven't quite figured out, as you guys notice here, there's a stream of comments coming in. So if I try to focus on, let's just say I try to... So Scott's asking me, Phil, do you do any readings at any other days? I do readings 6 days a week. But let's just say I try to focus on Scott's person, whoever they lost. What happens is there's a stream of other people coming in and sending out that energy. So I can have 40 people standing here trying to figure out who's who. It's a nightmare. So I don't even try to do it. Now, if I was doing radio and I had one-on-one, no problem. But I haven't figured out this Facebook Live part yet. So I'm a little edgy on trying it because I want to get it down. But hopefully that answers your question. Go ahead, Jasper.
That was actually one of the questions about Facebook Live readings. What should someone do to prepare for a reading when they're coming in?
Great. So here's one of the things I tell people to do when they come in for a reading. Number one, make a list of questions that you want to ask. Why? So we'll get into that later. Number two, it's the most important thing is all the pressure's on me. You have nothing to worry about. So, and what I mean by that is I have a lot of people who've met psychics or they've had a card reader or they have that. I'm not your guy, guys. Please, I'm just not. Don't even waste your time calling me because I'm not your guy for that. But what I am your guy for is connecting to the other side and getting you right on back onto your path. So where was I going with this question, Jasper? It's very important. What was the question you just asked me?
Preparation.
So preparation. So I often tell people is make a list of questions about things that are serious in your life because the other side is going to address those. They are going to bring them up. I tell people not to worry. Your family member knows that you're coming. They know that you're going through this process. And most importantly, they know that you're grieving. And then what happens is once you do come in, your family often already knows the questions you're going to ask because they've already read the questions that you've written down and boom, we're off skating. Now, the next thought is, can my family members hear me without me communicating, meaning talking out loud? Absolutely. They're completely aware of your thought. And what they're saying, what they're trying to do is they communicate telepathically. Scott, I'm sorry you're in a bad depression, and we'll talk about that in a second, but what they do is they communicate telepathically. They also communicate verbally, so depending on what you need, but you don't need to speak out loud for your loved ones to hear you. Secondly, you can think of it in your head if you're at work or if you're in the car or if you're what you're doing, but they're always aware. Why would they always be aware if they're over there at peace? Because we still got to live life. We still got to get through our contract. And most importantly, we still got to get to the other end. And they want us to get us there without as little as bruising as possible. That is the main goal of the other side. Go ahead, Jasper.
Carrie wants to know that she recently lost a beloved pet that was a family pet. Are you able to see pets on the other side?
So here's the thing. I see pets only if they wander through. So people will be sitting in readings and I see a pet wander through. I don't communicate with animals, meaning that I'm not able to summon someone. I can summon a soul, not really me, it's your family member doing it, but I can bring a soul here, but I can't get an animal here. And there's a reason why. Animals tend to reincarnate pretty fast. Souls take a while to reincarnate. So if you lost a pet and a month later you get a pet, the same soul will come back. So it tends to come back in families. But if the animal does wander through, I'm able to see it. Go ahead, Jasper.
Carolyn asks, "Hi Phil, I saw you in Brookfield and lots of spirits were coming through. Some of them in car accidents, some died by cancer. It's hard to know if this was your person, as you say. How can you be sure? If you don't claim them, does it hurt their feelings?"
So when you're in a large group, so here's the thing, guys. I do large groups for fundraisers in the summer and in the fall. All right. When I'm in a large group and you have 100 people in the room and this individual's coming through and this person's coming through, it's hard to know who's who because you have so many people in the room. You're asking if I don't claim them, does it hurt their feelings? No, because they know you're in a large group and it's very difficult. People ask me all the time, why don't you do a show? Why don't you do TV? Why don't you go on stage? Can't think of anything worse for Phil Quinn. I'm not even kidding. Because I want one-on-one contact. I want to be able to help you. I came here as a teacher. I came to Earth to teach. I know that. And I came to Earth with this gift to use it as best as I possibly can. So I've no interest, guys, in getting up there and blah, 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 having 1,000 people in and I read 2 people. That's just not who I am. God bless anyone else out there who is. But my job is to help you get to the other side as much as you possibly can, meaning that down your path as safely as you can without all the trips and bumps. Is that cheating? Absolutely not, because that is the job of the other side. Their job is to help you as much as they can get through life. Is it cheating when they're trying to help you fight a disease? Is it cheating when they're trying to get you a job to put food on the table for your family? Absolutely not. That's called life, and that's when we need the other side to intervene in order to help us. So it's very important that you understand, don't be afraid to ask your loved ones for help. Don't be ashamed to ask your loved ones for help because that's what they're there to do. Secondly, this is very important, and I've learned this from my readings this week. Do souls have sexual relations in heaven? Oh, love that. I'll get to that in the question. But yes, the answer is yes. So the answer is yes. So the other thing is too, is when people cross over, the reflection process, as I call the soul review. And that can be a very painful process depending on how the soul lived. Or a very pleasant process depending on how the soul lived. Go ahead, Jasper.
Danielle asks, I wasn't particularly close with anyone who has passed from my family or otherwise. I've been wanting a reading for life contracts. How would I know who is coming through to help me or tell you anything? Does that matter? It
doesn't really matter because as far as life contracts, what happens is somebody gives me it gives me your acoustic records. They give me your life contract, meaning your guide or your family member, and then we scroll through it and we see what's happening and where you go. I can only see so far. I don't want to see 3 years ahead of time because it's not going to serve you. You can change you can change your path at any given time. So typically they only show me 6 to 8 months ahead of time. So I don't need necessarily a close family member in order to get that information. Rita's asking, how do they help? People, places, things. They're the 3 things that the other side can interfere with. People put them into our life. Places send you to. And the things that they take away from us or they bring into our life. That's how the other side operates. The best way I can describe it to you in a very simple term. People, places, and things. Go ahead, honey.
Robin asks, how does the phone reading work? Is it the same price as in person? Is one better than the other? So
here's what I tell people. It's convenience. And that's really what it comes down to. It is no different for me. It's just a matter of convenience. So it's a matter of, do you want to drive to come see Phil, or do you want to sit at home in the comfort of your living room or wherever you are, your bedroom, and talk to me? So it doesn't change the quality of the reading, people. It just doesn't. So if people say it does, I don't know what to tell you, but it does not change the quality. So you don't have to make a trip to see me. Secondly, I'm reading people from Texas and all around the country, all around the world now. So you can't come to see me. So that's why we have to use technology the way it is. But it doesn't change the quality of the reading because the soul's standing next to me. I would imagine if the soul was standing next to you, it would be hard. However, when we do the Facebook, or I'm sorry, the Skype or whatever else, I can see your aura. I can see your auras. So you have to slow down. I can see your auras, so it allows me to see health issues too. Go ahead, honey.
Debbie wants to know, do our loved ones read what we write about them in our journals?
First of all, before I go into that, Diane Wheeler, I love you, and I've been thinking about you, and I hope you're doing well. So I know it's going to be a difficult time for you, but I think of you often. But go ahead. Sorry, Jasper.
That's okay. Debbie wants to know if the other side reads what you write about them in their journals.
So does the other side? Yes, absolutely. So and I often tell people, please do not be afraid. I tell people to send notes to the other side if you have a difficult relationship or somebody you lost and you were not able to find resolution with it. So what I tell people to do is send them a note each day or once a week, and you just put it in a jar. You just put it wherever, you burn it, and you can just say, hope you're doing well, thinking about you, working on forgiving you, whatever. And you will realize what happens is it aligns all the chakras. Once the chakras are aligned, this is when we start getting communication. Phil, why would my chakras not be aligned? Life, kids, you got to go to your job. You know, your husband didn't take out the trash, whatever it is, it snowed on you, but anything can turn off one of your chakras. Those chakras being turned off prevents us from doing certain things. Go ahead, hon.
All right, I have...
Hey, Gary.
Travis says,
Yep.
You mentioned reincarnation of souls. I lost my husband and soulmate recently. He was very young. I am very young. Will he reincarnate before we have the chance to meet on the other side?
So, Travis, typically not. What will happen is if you pass young and you're young, and what happens is that soul will wait until you cross over. That soul will wait until... hi, Marianne. That soul will wait until you reunite. That soul will wait until his family passes over, and then they come back. Now, real quick. If they know you're going to have a long lifetime, that soul can reincarnate quickly and come back as a different person, because then they know that the lifetimes are going to match up age-wise. But often the soul waits before it comes back. Otherwise, the person will get over there and there's nobody there. The house will be empty. So they typically wait. Go ahead, hon.
My loved one died 12 years ago. Have I waited too long to get a reading?
No. So my loved one died 12 years ago. Have I waited too long to get a reading? I have people of 25 years have gone by, didn't even know readings existed, didn't even know that they could do this here. I have people sitting here, and this is what I do, as I said before, all day. Like, Phil, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I have no idea, but we got to do this because I have someone calling in pretty soon. And what I mean is my brain just works differently that allows the other side to come through. I suppose it's like an artist. I can't paint, but they can. I don't know how they do it. Go ahead, honey. So somebody just asked me, sorry babe, I don't mean to interrupt you. Someone just asked me about, can our guides communicate with our loved ones? 1,000%. So our guides absolutely can go to our loved ones, or our loved ones can go to our guides, or our guides can go to your partner's guides, or whoever it may be, and say, look, this is turning into a mess. Can we do something about it? Or, hey, things are on track. High five, we're doing fantastic here. So absolutely, remember, the other side is filled with nothing more but pure communication. That's what they're doing on a daily basis, is communicating, and growing. As I said before, the lady that passed over, she's teaching people how to cook. She's teaching people how to paint, all of that stuff. I believe it was oil painting. Go ahead, Jasper.
Candy asks, my love died 2 weeks ago. How long should I wait before I get a reading?
So, how long should you wait before you get a reading? I have people that call me a week. I have people that call me a month after. What I tell people, it's when you're ready, then we can do the reading. If you're in a horrible state of grief, if you're not ready to communicate, I tell people to wait. The other side is not going anywhere. But it has to happen when you're absolutely ready for it to happen. It has to take place when you're ready for it to take place. But you can't really rush it. So, because here's the other thing too. The other side's got to be ready. If their death was traumatic, they may want to talk sooner. If their death was slow, if they died of a disease, they may take time to heal on the other side. So it's totally up to them. But often I tell people to wait 30 days. So you can book your appointment ahead of time, so that way your slot is ready. I've opened up dates in 2019, and you can do that. Go ahead, Jasper.
Scott wants to know, when is the best time for me to see you in person?
So when's the best time to see Phil in a visit? Depending on where you are, I'm in my office, like I said, 6 days a week. So what you do is you just schedule it. As long as there's availability, you just select in-office visit and you're all set. So just go to philquinn.com and you can do that.
My child recently lost his father. At 12, is he too young to handle a reading?
So I will not read children, and that's just for me. Okay, and there's other people that will do it, and I do not read children. And there's a reason for that, guys. And the most important reason is children process death differently than adults. Their brains aren't done developing. We don't need any more trauma, blah, blah, blah. But I will not do that. If you allow your child to hear the reading, that's perfectly fine. That's your child and up to you. But I simply don't read kids because it's traumatic. It's just very traumatic for them, particularly the loss of a parent, a loss of a best friend, a loss of anything. So I often tell people, can you do that? Can you pick up on the client is psychic? Do you tell them? So if somebody is psychic, Vicky is asking, what I see is a purple aura. So if your aura is purple, I 100% know that the individual is psychic, and therefore they're receiving psychic information. And that's great. What do you do with that? Well, if it's not channeled right, it can turn on you and exhaust you really, really easily. So it's important that we keep our psychic channeling intact. Because what happens is when you go into an environment, work environment, you can take on a whole lot of people's energy and start believing that it's your own energy, and it just wipes you out and exhausts us. So if you feel that you have psychic energy, if you feel that you're overly connected to things around you, how can you tell that? We're extremely sensitive. We get upset very easily. We walk into a scenario and we can feel tension even though we weren't part of that. You kind of want to close yourself down when you go out into environments. Like if I go to a concert or if I go to things like that, I go shut down mode. So that way I don't absorb any information. Go ahead, babe.
Is it safe to bring someone I am close to into a reading? How honest are you?
So... Do you hear how he said, how honest are you? Listen, I just want to say this here, okay? Phil's not afraid to say anything because I have to share what the other side said. The other side makes me share. So what I mean by that, sorry, I'm scrolling through some of the comments here. I have to share what the other side has to share. Should you bring a stranger, best friend or whatever into your reading? No. And because I'll tell you why. You don't tell everybody everything about yourself, number one. Secondly, the moment somebody else knows that information about you, you may not want them to know. You don't know how that friendship's going to go. But most importantly, if their family is more dominant than your family, they dominate the room. So you have someone coming into your reading, but their souls are louder than your souls. Because remember, I can't stop them from coming through. I have a waiting room here. I'll even have the people in the waiting room's family trying to nudge into that reading. I have to tell them, slow down. So you simply, the only people that you should have in the room are the people that are family or wanting to connect with the loved ones that have passed over. And that's really what it is. So it's very important that you keep it in a way that you feel safe. And secondly, if there was something negative, positive, wonderful, good, it doesn't matter what it is. The other side is going to tell you. I'll take one more question, Jasper.
What do you see when you're speaking to the other side?
So what do I see when I'm speaking to the other side? So the best way I can describe it to you all, has anyone ever spooked you? Scared you? Came up behind you and boom, there they are? So I'll be sitting in the room. I'll be sitting there with you. I turn to my left. You always see me look to my left. And boom, there's somebody standing next to me. And it's taken years not to freak out. So, and I see them standing next to me. And I see them, and let me explain this to you and end with this. I see them the way you remember them. I see them and hear them the way they used to talk. If the person was very pleasant, they will talk very pleasant. If the person swore a lot, they're going to come through swearing. Phil has to repeat. That's just the way I do. Yes, I swear. So it's just the way it goes. Sometimes you tell me things that I'm just blown away at. So that's how that process works. So the other side is going to project themselves to me the way that you remember them. Because remember, we need verification. We need validation. We need to make sure you know who we're talking to. So if they come through in the soul state, you have no way of knowing who's who. So they have to come through in a way that you know who's who. So hopefully, and then after that, they go into their state of relaxation, and they go into their state of, okay, I'm calm now. I just did a reading the other day for a lady. Her brother had taken his life, and he was standing, some people see my office, but I have this big, beautiful window looking out here, and he was just standing in the window, just looking so at peace and so happy. And I said to the lady, and I said, there's a male here, and he mentions that he had taken his life. And he just smiled ear to ear, and he says, Phil, it's the first time I've been at peace. he says, I struggled for so long. And he doesn't talk about the taking his life part. What he's talking about is, I'm at peace and I'm at heaven. So, and that's the most important part about this. Like, I will look up and there's somebody standing in the room. I will look up and there's somebody just around me. I will look up and there's there's an adult with me, or there's a child with me, but they're all at peace. And that's the most important thing that you have to remember. So when I said to the soul, about coming through, how do you look back? He says, I've caused horrible devastation because he was so depressed. He says, and leaving everybody behind. He says, and I now realize that as I crossed over. So the fact that he took his life, he realized he took the responsibility for what happened, but he's also showing them that he came through and this is the way it happens. And it happens. There's no way around it. So I hope I answered everybody's questions tonight, and I got a lot in. I thank you all. I thank you all for asking me questions. Again, anybody that wants to order gift certificates for the holidays or anything like that, please get them in soon so I can get them in the mail. And secondly, anybody that wants to buy groups and give the group as a gift certificate for what am I starting? April of next year, or March, I could even start off next year. You can do that. But the new groups will be up online shortly. Greg will be back, I believe, on Monday. I'll post the new dates, and then you guys are good to go. I'm not sure if I'm here next Thursday. I'm going to find out. I might be working. And again, I will be opening up. Gary's asking about, Gary, okay, so let's just get this out of the way. Yes, they have physical relationships on the other side. If two souls passed over, husband and wife, whatever it may be, you can still have intimacy because it's an exchange through energy. I hope that makes your night, Gary. So, and again, if you want to give the gift certificate of Friday Night Where's Phil, that's going to be available to you all. I love you guys. Thank you so much. You made my night. I'll see you next week, I think, or the week after. Take care. God bless.